My name is Jeff St Laurent, and this is the Live Tuesday call coming at you each and every week. I'm excited to have some people on the line, and today we're going to be talking about referrals and everything you need to know about referrals to grow your business and obviously, get yourself paid so you can help more people. And referrals is obviously a great way of growing your business, but there's just some good things that I've learned along the way that I want to share with you that are important. Not a whole lot of things, but there are just some important notes that we want to be aware of, which just make referrals be more effective in your business. Before we get going, I do record all my live calls and I post them in my university on my website, sellingcoaching.com, each and every Friday. So be sure to check that out. Like I said, sellingcoaching.com, go to the university. You got a lot of great calls in there, a lot of specific information. Use the search feature to find some great videos in there that will help you out as you transition to a full-time business. That's what I do, is I help coaches do that along the way. So those are some of my great resources. And then right on the homepage of sellingcoaching.com, I have a great resource, the Ultimate Startup Guide for New Coaches. So you can go ahead and grab that. And what that will do is that's going to also put you on my email community. So we can keep in touch that way. I put out some great content there, keep you not only with what's going on, but I also share some good content each and every week when I email my community. And I want you to be on there, especially because when you are doing your coaching business, you need to have an email community. Especially, it's a great point to, I'll talk about that for a quick second. A lot of right now, currently, the trends, what's going on with Facebook and just with the platform itself. I don't think the platform is going away or anything like that, but the company's been going through some scrutiny and things like that. And so things can change. And if you had a smaller platform and it wasn't a Facebook, if you will, a Facebook so, let's say, ingrained in society that I really don't think is going to go anywhere. But with that being said, you always want to make sure your first and foremost, your primary way of growing your audience is via email. And that's why that point is so important, because you never know when social media can change or go away for that matter with certain platforms. So just to kind of point as I talk about that, that's why it's so important as a vehicle for communication. So that's where you can get a hold of me and also become part of my email community and take advantage of all my resources for you. And then lastly, before we get going, if you find yourself in a position where, oh my gosh, I'm frustrated, I really want to move this business forward, or you just don't want to get to that point and you really know you need some guidance, I am available for one-on-one mentor coaching. You can go to sellingcoaching.com under the Work With Me page, and you can fill out the form at the bottom of that page. We can create a conversation because I will follow up from there. And then we'll just create a relaxed conversation and see where we can go and find out the next most appropriate steps. With that being said, let's talk about referrals and how to effectively get referrals. This came from, yesterday, especially, I've been talking about referrals, with my clients, my one-on-one mentoring, but one of my clients had given me a referral. And there's some things that I do when I get referrals that I want to pass on to you. And then we'll also talk about, potential referral program as well. So you can kind of clear some things up with that as well. So the first things you want to know about referrals is, there's nothing better than you getting, let's say, an email or a phone call from an actual referral. Not so much from, let's say, a client or someone that you know saying they have a referral from you. But even better than when a referral actually calls you up or emails you and says, hey, so-and-so referred me to you and I'm interested in potentially working with you. And obviously when that moves forward into you getting a new client, like that's the best thing that could ever happen, right? Other than a lead just coming to you and saying they want to work with you. So that's not always the case, obviously, when that happens. So regardless of however the lead comes to you, this referral comes to you, whether they're coming to you or someone says, hey, I've got a referral from you, and you end up connecting with that person. No matter where we go with that, and I'll clarify some of those points as we go on with the call today, but wherever you go with that, what I need you to do is make sure that you qualify the person from there. Even if you get an email saying like, oh my God, so-and-so is working with you, they referred me to you, they have nothing but great things to say, I've been looking into you, I've been listening to all your stuff, and I'm ready to go, I'm ready to hire you, right? It's just like, let's connect, I want to hire you like on the spot. Even if they're so, fantastically open and clear about that, I still want you to take the time to qualify them. I'm not going to elaborate on the qualifying process. What I'll do is I'll refer you to Selling Coaching University, like I said, at sellingcoaching.com. Type in qualifying in the search bar or qualifying a new client, And I've had several calls on that, which you can listen to as well if you need help in that area. But with that being said, is qualify that person basically meaning finding out, well, what are they looking for? What's the need? What's the timing of that need? Why are they considering hiring someone like yourself? That's it in a nutshell. But we always want to make sure we qualify that person once we get them. We never want to assume that just because someone's coming to us ranting and raving about and with praises about us and that they're ready to go, we never want to assume that they're just going to hire us. That's the number one thing I'd say from the beginning. But with that being said, when someone has a referral for us, I would consider there's two types of referrals. And I'll just play a little scenario so you can kind of see these two types of scenarios. And you've probably been there before, and it's important to understand each of these and where you're going to go with each of them to make them more effective. And that's the point of the topic today. So let's just say you have a client, and let's call this client, let's name this person Elisa. And Elisa's a client of yours. And she's got a friend. And Elisa's been working with you for a while. And Elisa's friend hears Elisa talking about the great results she's been getting by working with you. And her friend voluntarily starts asking, hey, so tell me more about your coach. And do you like this person? And you know what? I should reach out to them. Could you give me their contact information? I'd like to talk to them, or anything of the sorts, essentially where the referral, which is Elisa's friend, let's call this person, right? And let's call this person Steve, right? So Steve is the referral. And in this situation, this is the type of referral that I would call a great referral, for lack of a better term. Because in this scenario, Steve is asking about me. He's proactively inquiring about me, asking questions, and he's proactively, more importantly, asking for my contact information, right? Anything along those lines, that would be a great referral because that person is voluntarily asking. Let's take the same scenario and let's just qualify the second one for simple terms. I like to keep things simple, and let's call it a poor referral, right? A great versus a poor one. And what I mean by a poor referral is the same scenario is Elisa is a client of yours, and she's ranting and raving to her friend Steve about you as her coach. And in this situation, Steve's just kind of listening to her ranting and raving about how awesome, you are. And she's saying, and knowing what Steve, let's say, is going through, she's saying, oh my God, Steve, my coach is so good. My coach could help you so much. You should hire this person. You should talk to this person. I really think you need to talk to them. You know what? I'll send a mutual email or I'll send you their information, right? And the reason I would consider this a poor referral is because Steve's not actively asking anything. While Steve might have a need where he could benefit from using, let's say, your services, and obviously Elisa would know that because he's her friend, it's more of her kind of pushing it on him, right? And this is, if you will, this is why I teach everything I relate back to selling, right? Because it's kind of pushy sales, even though she's not trying to sell him anything, but essentially in some ways she really is. She's trying to sell him on using me because she knows I could help him. And based on what she knows about him, she's trying to kind of make that connection because, at the end of the day, you know what? Lisa's great. She just likes to help, just like everybody else. They just want to help their friends. They want to help their family. So if they know and they have some great results, they want to do that. It's just like if I was on a diet and I was on the ice cube diet, and this is obviously a diet I'm making up, where I was just eating ice cubes and I'm losing weight, and I was just going to somebody saying, oh my God, you got to try this ice cube diet out, versus someone asking, hey, I'd love to learn. What are you doing? I got to get on this diet, right? That's a great versus a poor referral. Same thing here. So what we're looking for is saying, Jeff, okay, how do I know about this? How do I know what these conversations are going on? So our job now with a referral is, for instance, like yesterday I was talking with one of my clients, let's call this person Elisa, and she's saying, hey, Jeff, I was talking to a friend of mine, Steve, and I was telling him about, how great our work is together, blah, blah, blah. And I referred him to you. So now my job is, and there's no script I'm going to give you. As you know, I'm not a scripted person. I like to teach the philosophy. I like to teach or help you understand the main objective or the goal so that you can then get there and achieve that from your own verbiage and your own style versus following a script, because it's not authentic that way. If you're following a script, and a script doesn't adapt for every situation. So the philosophy is just, how do you find out? You just ask it. You say, hey, Lisa, thank you so much. I'm glad you're receiving such great results where you want to share me with this person. I'm curious, let me ask you, was Steve asking about this? What was he saying? Where is he at in his world right now? Is this something that, he was proactively asking about, or is this something that you were kind of like, I wouldn't say necessarily pushing more on him, or something that you were kind of like getting him to kind of reach out to me? And there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just what was going on with the conversation. And your job is to assess, is this a great referral? Meaning, was Steve proactively asking about this? And how serious does she think Steve really is about this? Or is this more of a poor referral? And I wouldn't say to Elisa or your client, whoever's referring the person, oh, that's a poor referral. Oh, this is a great referral. I thank them no matter what. But I would just find that out, or if this person was more of like, oh no, I was just ranting, and just raving about you, and I just said you should really reach out. Based on that, no matter whether it's you now can label it as a great or poor referral, either way, you can take the same action, which will be the following. Which is what I would say is instead of you just going, okay, great, and sitting there waiting for this referral, which typically what happens, this referral, Steve will never reach out to you. And I say never, it doesn't mean actually never, because if it's a great referral and Steve's really serious and the timing is right for them and they've got a really big need and they don't have any other options, then they might reach out to you. But I'm using never, and I want to use that strong word on purpose because I want you to consider and realize that it will never happen. Therefore, we need to proactively reach out. So in order to do that, what I'm asking Elisa, or this person who's referring this person to me, whoever that would be for you, I would say, hey, listen, that's great. Let me ask you, would you mind getting their contact information and with their permission, sending it to me? Because I would like to proactively follow up with them. And every single time I've asked a client or someone who was going to refer someone to me this, no one's ever said, oh, geez, I don't know if I could do that or not. They're like, yeah, that's fine. Some people know the person well enough where they're like, oh my God, yeah, that's fine. I'll send it to you now, or I'll give it to you right now, because they know the person well enough and they know that person wouldn't mind. Other people, if the connection, if Elisa didn't know Steve in this example very well or much at all, then they might, obviously go to that person and ask. And if whatever on the situation doesn't seem like that might work, another way of asking it would be, hey, listen, I'm wondering if you could send us a mutual email connecting the both of us, and just saying, hey, Jeff, this is Steve. Steve's a great friend of mine, or Steve's a colleague of mine that I mentioned to you that's going through X or whatever is in a position where you might consider working with you. I just want to connect the both of you so that you guys can take it from there. So you're basically asking them either for their contact information with the person's permission so you can proactively reach out, or you're asking for a mutual an introduction via a mutual email so you can kind of get that ball rolling. And the reason I say do this with either situation, whether it's a great referral or a poor referral, is because I still want you to proactively reach out. Even if it's a poor referral, I want you to assess that because, again, like I said, if you rewind back to the beginning, the reason why, one of the things I want you to do, no matter how great of a referral you think this person is or not, I still want you to take the time to qualify them. So even though it might feel like, let's say, a poor referral based on my conversation with, let's say, Elisa, I still want you to follow up on it because you never know what details they might be missing or what they may or may not know. And therefore, I want you to be thorough and follow up. In these situations where between a great and a poor referral, what I found is, and the reason I'm labeling it a poor referral is what I found is when I've taken the time to do this, is the poor referral, meaning the person was kind of like, Lisa was more telling Steve she should hire me or he should hire me or work with me, and Steve wasn't proactively asking and didn't seem interested himself. I've never found that those have panned out for me, meaning, and I would say 90% of the cases, if I can give you some statistic, how about this? It's the majority of the time, I've never even spoken to the person, meaning I've asked for the follow-up, I've asked for their contact information, I've gotten the contact information, I've followed up a handful of times at the most, and I still never heard back from that person. Or I got a response back and saying just some very wishy-washy, yeah, you know what, I talked to Elisa, but you know what, right now, blah, 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 just stuff where the person's clearly not interested. It was more of, Lisa just, raving about me to the point where, oh, you should really try this type of thing, or you should really talk to Jeff. And the other situation, it doesn't mean that everyone has always moved on to hire me. It just means that I've followed up with those people. They're much more likely to respond, and we've continued the conversation, and in other words, I've continued the qualifying process, and it went in the direction it was supposed to go, meaning it continued on and they hired me, or it just wasn't the right time, or for whatever reason, or maybe the interest or the need wasn't that big, and therefore it just went down the direction of no, and it didn't work out. But either way, that's good, because if you're a student of mine, you know what I teach, especially with selling, is our job as a coach is to get an answer. We've got to help them to a decision, yes or no. Of course, we prefer yes, but if we get a maybe or need to think about it, that's agonizing, because it's the gray area of like, we don't know where they're at. We need to know where they're at. So we want to help them to a decision. And so that's the basic process of, distinguishing these referrals so we can have more, it's just making them more effective. Because like I said, if you don't do that, you're just going to be sitting there going like, how about this, falsely hoping that Steve is going to call you. And then you falsely get excited that, oh my God, I could have some business. And guess what? Steve never calls you. Steve never emails you. And then what happens is you, the next time you talk to that client, it's like, well, how much do I ask that person about Steve? Because I don't want to be pushy, and I want to be grateful, but also I want to talk to Steve because I want business and I want to help some people, right? So the whole point is that I want to take the time to do that, because then I don't want it to be awkward and be like, oh my God, I'm talking to Elisa today, and do I have to ask her about Steve again? And how many times do I ask about that? The whole point of that, and even when I've done my calls on follow-up, is always establish the direction. So with the referrals here, you're establishing, hey, would you be okay with this, with contact information? So at least this way, once she gives it to me, I take over from there. There's no reason to ask any more of Elisa or the person that's referring someone to me. Their job's done at that point. The only other thing that I would want to do is obviously I would want to thank them. Whether this person moves forward with me or not, I'd want to thank them for referring that person to me. Or if that person, followed up with me and ended up hiring me, I'd want to thank them and go from there. That's the basic gist of what I will talk about with the referrals and how to more effectively handle them. Before I close off, I want to talk about like a referral program and how that works, if anything. If someone refers someone to me, do I give them something other than a thank you? Do I pay them something, etc.? And I'll just say it like this. There's lots of philosophies out there. Ultimately, do what you feel the most comfortable with. I've done referrals where I've paid people. I've given them, if they're a client of me, I've given them like an extra session, things like that. And what I've found along the way, and what I've come to today, as I'm trying all those different things, is I do nothing. So, other than being very gracious and thanking people, and other than that, that's all I do. And there's a reason to it, which I'm going to share to make it simple. And the reason is I want to help keep your business simple. Like I said, so if you want to do, paying them something or a free session or something like that, you could go ahead and do that. What I would suggest, if you are going to go down that route, is as opposed to paying someone, if you will, a commission, if I can call it that, for a referral for someone that hires you, I would rather have you, especially if they're a client, give them a free session. Even if they're not a even if they're not a client, you could give them, let's say, a coaching session. Because ultimately that could lead towards another client if that person took advantage of it. But you just have to remember that they may or may not want that session. They might not want to hire you, so there might not be a value to them. But the point is that I want to make sure that if you're going to do that, you're not paying money out. I'd rather have you just give you more of your time in that respect. But one of the main reasons I don't like to give anything out in that respect is first off, I found that if people are going to refer someone to you, they're going to refer someone to you, right? They're not going to do it because, oh, I'm going to get a free session, or oh, I'm going to get a couple $100, etc. Or even if you're going to go crazy and give them $1,000, like my client yesterday, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to give them $1,000 if they hire me, right? And I'm like, okay, that's great, but the reality is people are going to do it no matter what, and especially if you're offering an incentive. And I did this, and I found this is that. This happened to me with a couple people in the past, is that they were incentivized to do a referral. Now, they would have done it no matter what, but because of the incentive, this person or the couple people that this happened with, they were like overly motivated to do it. And then what happened is they were kind of like pushing, and if I'll use the same people's names as the last time. So Lisa was a client of mine, let's say, and she had this person, Steve, and Elisa was going to get some cash for doing this. And Elisa was overly motivated for Steve to hire me. And let's just put it this way, Steve wasn't really that motivated, not to hire me, but just to do anything in general. So Elisa kept pushing it on Steve to call me and to talk with me and to work with me. And it went beyond just, oh, I'm having these great results. It got down to like she really wanted the referral fee for him hiring me. And so it got to the point where it was almost just like awkward for Steve because she was like pushing it, because I ended up talking to this guy, Steve, in this metaphorical example. And bottom line, it didn't work out. And so that's one thing to just consider. I never thought of that. Now, I could never have conceived that would happen. But again, that happened to me a couple times with people. So especially if you're offering an incentive that's really big. When I say really big, that's subjective to your judgment. But in this case, like with my client saying, I'm going to offer them $1,000, $1,000 is not chump change. Even $500 or $200 or $300 for that. I mean, that's a nice little chunk of change, you can do something with, right? That could be a car payment or whatever. So the point being is, if it's too much of an incentive, then you might get down the path of like, okay, well, you don't want people, your clients or whoever's referring you, like kind of pushing in an uncomfortable way. Because the reality is, here's the thing, right? In other products or services, there might be more work for a referrer to do, right? In other words, if like there's a coaching school that I went to as an example, and when I refer people to them, I've had calls with the person where they like wanted to talk to me about it, right? So I would set some time aside, sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes an hour. I would actually talk to that person, and while I had no problem doing it, I would refer people anyways, but I also knew if they use my name, I would get a pretty good sized commission check, right? And I wasn't doing it because of that, but I was also willing to put aside more time. And I also knew it required more time. And that's why the school would pay out a commission, because they realized that it sometimes from a referrer, they want you to take more time with that person. They want to have a conversation with you, right? Whereas in this situation, right, they don't need to like have a call with you. They don't need to, in other words, Elisa doesn't need to sit down with Steve or have a long conversation with them. They're probably having a conversation which brought about the referral in the first place, right? So it's not like the referrer needs to do any other work than just saying, oh my God, you should definitely talk to this person. Or if the person's asking about it in a great referral, saying like, yeah, you want his contact information? Here you go. Or at best, when I ask Elisa for Steve's contact information, her saying, hey, Steve, do you mind if I give Jeff your contact information? He wants to follow up with you directly. Would that be okay? Steve says okay, and Elisa emails it to me, right? So it's very easy for them to facilitate the referral. So in that case, so that's why I don't recommend, for many different reasons, the referral process or paying out a commission or things like that. And additionally, the last reason why I don't necessarily recommend that is, well, a couple reasons. One is keep things simple. Right, keep it simple with that. And number two, if you will, in paying out the commission or paying out the free session, etc., you've got to make sure that this other person like pays in full and follows through with what they're doing. So especially if you're paying out a commission, technically you shouldn't give out that free session, or technically you shouldn't pay out that commission until the other person either successfully completes their work with you, or pays in full for their work. So there are the majority of people that hire me as an example, they pay in full. But there are situations where if someone needs to break up the payments, I can let them break the payments up, right? And depending on what case it is, in the past especially, some people have broken up the payments. There's been very few examples where I've broken up payments quite a bit, right? Or payments over a year or something like that, just because they needed to and they really wanted to work with me. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's do it. So, and also because of that, in the past, when people have broken up the payments, not always, but there are situations where the person didn't follow through with their commitment. They didn't follow through with their payments for whatever reason. It happens. It's a reality of a business. So in those situations, and again, I've had this happen before with a referral. That's why I'm sharing these experiences. I would have paid out a commission, or I paid out the free session, if you will. And next thing you know, the referral didn't follow. The person didn't follow through with their commitment, etc. And again, not the end of the world. You're still gracious for the referral and things like that. But the reason I'm going into some of those things are those are some of the hiccups, if you will, where at the end of the day, it's great to get the business, but you also got to think about your time, and you've also got to value your finances as a business. And the reality is what we do is we're helping people, and we're doing a great job, and we're not doing it just to get referrals. We're doing it because we love what we do and we're passionate about helping people. And that's the reason. And if we get referral business, and if people feel so compelled to refer you somebody, then let's use the method that I talked about earlier at the beginning of today, where we, get their information and follow up from there. And then if it follows through, let's just be like, you know what? Thank you so much. I so appreciate you. You know what? Do something nice for them. Like sometimes what I've done, I've had a couple people refer me, quite a few people. I send them a copy of my book. You know what I mean? Or if someone's really, like, I've had some people that have hooked me up with events, and they put me in front of a lot of people. They've set me up on conference calls. And you know what? In certain situations like that, I've hooked them up with a free session here and there. And this is these are long-term clients, or, just as a little thank you or something like that. But in general, I didn't have a formalized program. So I'm saying use your best judgment with that. And it can never steer you wrong in thanking people. But in terms of, getting the referrals, use the method that I talked about there. It's going to be a lot more effective for you. And then in terms of keeping things simple with a referral business, just keep it on a thank you basis. And then you're just not going to run into some of the few different highlighted challenges. And again, they're not the end of the world, but again, they just present some logistical challenges for you. And then also it's just a matter of, the other piece to it is now what happens is you start promoting a referral program, right? And as it is, there's enough information that you're wanting to put in front of your people, through your emails and hopefully maybe programs or services that you're offering, or your live events that you're doing each and every week. So not that you're bombarding them with a referral program, but now you're taking the time to kind of write it all up and formalize it and, set up all the guidelines around that. Whereas it's just like, you know what? If we want to get some referral business, it's like, ask your clients, hey, listening, you know what? I've got a couple openings. I've got a couple spots open for one-on-one coaching clients. I'm just wondering who you might know. Ask for it. Send it out in a PS and an email. Post it in your private Facebook group if you got one, or on social media. I'm looking for referrals. I'm looking for people who are in a position where they want to take, X, Y, or Z and move it forward. I've got a few spots open for some one-on-one clients. I'm wondering who's in a position where they're looking for some help on X or Y, and put that out there. So continuously ask and put it out there, and then follow through with the way I talked about. And this way, it's simple, it's effective, and you can grow your business and get paid that way and help people.